Finger Family.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Once upon a time there was a king who had a beautiful queen. The queen was a God-fearing lady who prayed to him daily. After the prayer, she would wish for a daughter who should be far more beautiful than she herself. In due course of time, the queen gave birth to a daughter on a snowy day. The baby girl's complexion was as white as snow, so she was named Snow White. As an ill luck would have it, the queen passed away when Snow White was still a small baby. 3 years passed and Snow White grew up into a small girl. Her father, the king, married another beautiful woman who was indeed a witch. The king introduced his daughter to her stepmother, who promised that she would love the little girl as her own daughter. The queen had a magical mirror which answered every question asked by her. Before becoming a queen, whenever the woman stood before the mirror to dress herself, she would ask it, "Who is the fairest of us all?" The mirror would reply, "You or the fairest." But after becoming the queen, she stood before the magical mirror and looked at her image with an air of pride. She was sure that now she looked much fairer than before. So she asked the mirror, "Who is the fairest in the entire kingdom?" The mirror replied, "Snow White is the fairest of all." Hearing the mirror's words, the queen was mad in anger. So she called a hunter and ordered him, "Take Snow White into the forest and kill her. Bring her heart to me to prove that she is no more." The hunter took the princess to the forest, but taking pity on her, he said, "Run away from here to be safe, or the queen will have you killed." Then, killing a deer, the hunter took its heart to the queen. As for Snow White, she kept wandering here and there, and at last came to a small house. Snow White opened the door of the house and was surprised to see 7 small beds inside it. The landlords of the house were away somewhere else. As she was very tired, she put together all the 7 beds and lay down on them. Soon she fell fast asleep. After some time, the dwarfs who lived in that house came back. Seeing a girl lying asleep on their beds, they whispered to one another, "Who is this charming girl sleeping on our beds?" They liked her very much and did not disturb her. Next morning, Snow White woke up and was afraid to see the 7 dwarfs. But finding them smiling gently, her fear melted away. She felt that she was among friendly ones. Soon they became good friends. Snow White told the dwarfs all about her evil stepmother who wanted her to be killed. The dwarfs said to Snow White, "Stay here with us. You will have no fear from anybody." "Thanks, I will take good care of you," replied she. Snow White loved to live in the company of the dwarfs, who were very kind to her. Little did she know that she was not very far from her father's kingdom. As for the queen, she stood before the magical mirror next morning to dress herself. She asked it, "Who is the fairest in the entire kingdom now?" "Snow White," came the reply. The queen was furious, and she sent for the hunter at once. She sent him to the prison and made up her mind to get rid of Snow White once for all. The evil queen took a silk ribbon and cast a deadly spell on it. Then, disguising herself as an old peddler, she went to the house where Snow White was living with the dwarfs. The peddler knocked at the door and Snow White opened it. Tricking her into buying the ribbon, she went away. As soon as Snow White wore the ribbon, she fell into a swoon. The dwarfs came home in the evening and found Snow White lying senseless. Luckily, they took the ribbon off her hair and she woke up. As soon as Snow White woke up from her swoon, her stepmother came to know of it through her magical power. So she made up her mind to make another attack on the life of Snow White. This time, the queen disguised herself as a fruit seller. Then, taking a basket full of poisoned apples, she went over to where Snow White lived. Again, she urged her to buy an apple, which she did, though the dwarfs had warned her to be very, very careful of the strangers. As soon as Snow White took one small bite out of the poisoned apple, she began to feel dizzy. The evil queen was looking at poor Snow White through the window. She was beside herself in joy. She was sure that Snow White would never come alive this time. Taking long strides, she came back to the palace happy at the success of her evil plan. As for Snow White, she could not keep her balance because of the effect of the poison. She staggered and fell down on the ground. When the dwarfs came back home in the evening after the day's work, they saw Snow White lying senseless on the ground. They looked at her closely but could not find the reason of her being unwell. Little did they know that she had been poisoned. They were sorry for the girl, but they also chided her for not being careful in spite of their strict warning against the strangers. The dwarfs were sure that Snow White would never come alive again. The dwarfs were extremely sad that Snow White was going to die. With heavy hearts, they placed her in a beautiful glass box filled with snow white roses. Then they carried the box to a peaceful place in the thick of the forest. The dwarfs placed the box near a tree and got ready to return home. They were shedding tears at the sad end of poor Snow White. Just as the dwarfs were saying goodbye to Snow White, a prince riding a fine white horse happened to come there. The prince felt curious and came to the dwarfs to see what was happening there. When the prince saw Snow White lying inside the box full of snow white flowers, he was surprised to see her beauty. He alighted from his horse and went near the box. Bending down, the prince took his face near that of Snow White to see whether she was breathing or not. He was pleased to see that she was alive, so he kissed her gently, wishing that he would marry her if God spared her life. As soon as the prince kissed Snow White, she began to flutter her eyes gently. Before long, she woke up as the effect of poison had gone. When the dwarfs saw Snow White coming to her senses, they were extremely happy. They danced in joy and sang for the long life of Snow White. She told them all what had happened. The prince thanked God that his prayer had been granted and Snow White was all right. So he asked for her hand in marriage. Snow White gladly accepted the proposal. As for the dwarfs, they followed the prince and Snow White to the edge of the forest. They asked her not to forget them. They asked the prince to visit their place off and on along with Snow White. The couple agreed to what the dwarfs had said. The dwarfs thanked the couple for accepting their loving invitation and went back to their house in the forest. As for the couple, they rode to the capital of the kingdom ruled by the prince's father. When the prince and Snow White reached his father's kingdom, they were married with stately pomp and show. A grand reception was held where all the neighboring kings were invited. The wicked queen also came along with her husband to attend the reception. As soon as the wicked queen saw Snow White, she felt shocked out of jealousy. So grave was her shock that she fell ill and died in a few days. The king came to know of everything, so he released the hunter from the prison. Snow White lived with her husband happily ever after.
If you like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the subscribe button below.